Well, you ready to start recording just the audio, Joe? And we'll start actually doing our podcast.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to hit record there.
Okay.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. 3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1. All right. Just so anybody watching is not confused, that's to sync up our audio later.
We're professional-ish.
We are professional-ish.
Okay. Here we go. Welcome to another exciting episode of Nerds from Nowhere. I'm your nerd host, Joe.
And I'm your nerd host. I forgot my name, actually. I'm your nerd host, Devin.
Hello, Devin.
Hello, Joe.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, and welcome to anybody watching live. All one of you, both of you. Are there two people? I don't know.
The other person is me.
Oh, yeah, all one of you. Hey,
Woo!
that is 3 times larger of a crowd than I expected. So, woo!
I'm not sure how that... You expected 1/3 of a viewer?
My math is good. Leave me alone.
So, I know one viewer. I'm going to mention him by name. Thanks for watching, Luke.
Yeah, Luke. I also know him. We've met.
So, we're going to be doing this now for a while to see how it goes. We're kind of running an experiment. We're going to be live streaming our episodes on Twitch. And you can get that on Twitch TV/nerds_from_nowhere.
Yeah.
So we're just ironing out the technical kinks now, but we'll try that for a while and see how it is. We can interact with people live while we're recording. So it might be kind of fun. So if you're hearing this episode in the normal podcast version, come check out the stream next time. We'll make sure to post about it on our social media so you know when to find it.
Yeah, it should be fun and or exciting. And Luke was treated to a very special treat of me picking my nose for a second. So
That's the kinds of exciting things that you're missing by not stepping in and watching the stream.
yeah, so everyone who wants to see that should stop by. I promise next time I'll do it again.
2 fingers?
That that would take some skill, but I'll practice.
I think if we
all
get
week.
over 50 viewers, you should use both fingers.
Okay, deal. If we get more than 50 viewers, I will pick my nose with both fingers.
Also, during this episode, we're going to be talking. We're going to have a new segment called Devin's D&D Storytime, as well as we're going to have a discussion on old school arcades.
Yeah, and Devin's D&D Storytime is going to be a semi-recurring thing. I'll talk about it as often as I possibly can. I don't play D&D nearly as much as I want, but I'll try.
Hopefully that changes in the future.
Hopefully.
Speaking of Devin's D&D Storytime, Devin, do you have a D&D story you want to share with us?
I do this week. So, here's my story time. Ooh.
Sounds like a spooky story.
It's not. I was trying to be dramatic. Apparently, drama to me is spooky. So, I'm an idiot. That's all it comes down to. So yeah, I was playing with my my friends / coworkers / only people I could actually get to play with me here in my small town that I live in, and it's been kind of an interesting experience in general getting to play with them because they just don't ever really want to play. I shouldn't say want, but it's really hard to get everyone together. We all work at a hospital. We all have weird shifts, and I'm the only person that really gets excited about Dungeons and Dragons. Like, super excited, I should say. So it's just been kind of tough. So we've probably played like 3 times over the last year ish, and so they finally all came over again. This is, yeah, like fourth time maybe, and everybody's really awkward about it. Nobody's really played much, if at all, including myself. And so the role playing's been really awkward, if existent. But everyone in the campaign is playing lawful good, or neutral good. Neutral the lawful good, which if you're not familiar with D&D, that just means they're very good people. Like Superman-ish type characters to, yeah, I mean, just the kind of people that try to do the right thing always, whether it's the right thing according to society or the right thing according to their own moral principles, depending on the character. And my character I chose as a neutral evil. So a guy who just does whatever he wants, regardless of consequences or what other people think about it, because he doesn't care about other people. He's just a jerk. Anyway, so we're playing, and our dungeon master's telling this story, and so we go on this awesome adventure, and we have to go to this like temple, and he's telling it, and there's all these beasts that are, we're sneaking up to it, and there's all these monsters and creatures in there, and they're really quite dangerous because we're low level. And so we're kind of looking around, and there's a dam up above this temple. So we're like, oh, let's go up there and take a look, and investigating it and talking to the DM. We come to the conclusion we might be able to break the dam, but there is a village down below. Dun dun dun. And I'm just like, I don't care. Let's just break this thing open. It'll probably kill everyone in this temple, and then we can get to our objective. And everyone I'm playing with is just like, yeah, that sounds good. I'm like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense, but okay. Let's do it. So we break this dam, and it floods this temple and the village around it. I'm like, whatever. So we do it. And then we get, I forget, I don't even remember, or some gem or something. Something. Who cares? It wasn't that important. It was just plot line. So we get this thing, we go back to this village, and as we get to the village, there's all these like peasants coming back, and they're soaking wet and carrying what little possessions they have because their village was just flooded and destroyed. And, and me being the evil jerk that I am, I go up and I offer to help them. Help. I'm doing air quotes. You can't see that unless you're watching. You're welcome, Luke. And I'm like, just give me all of your stuff and what little money you have, and I'll carry it over. You guys can dry off, and I'll take it to the inn. I'll get you a room. I'll get you set up. I'm such a nice person. And my character is a warlock, which, if you haven't played D&D, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you have, they're magic, but their magic is based off of charisma, and I picked deception as one of my traits. So anyway, and I roll, and I get a natural 20, which is basically like, you succeed no matter what. So they're just like, it's this little old lady that I'm talking to specifically, and she's just like, oh, you are so nice. Nice little young man. Like, here you go. You're gonna help me out. And like, the people that I'm with, and remember, they're all good people. They're just like, okay, cool.
You dirtbag.
I'm just like, wait, why isn't anybody stopping me? But anyway, so I just steal everyone's stuff. I got 5 gold from it. Everything else they owned was junk. And then we went and had a drink. the bar. Anyway, I was laughing. I thought it was great.
So I figured it out. They're lawful good, but the one law that they obey is loyalty to their party members.
I guess.
Mm-hmm. For them, that's the number one. That's how you be a good person, is loyalty to their party members. So you're like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. You're like, well, I guess we should do that because you're a party member, and if we went against that, we would be evil like you.
Yeah. Well, the really funny thing is like the only thing that really happened was they got mad at me for not sharing the gold because I didn't. I was like, "This is mine," and they're like, "You
So,
jerk!" Like, wait,
so what you're saying is they're all evil.
I guess. Like, I'm stealing this old lady's money, and I killed a whole bunch of people and flooded their town. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but we want the money too.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys understand the kind of characters you chose. The one is even like a cleric, so basically like a holy priest warrior. Like, I don't think you quite get what you're going for here. I thought it was great. I had a lot of fun.
A priest from the Church of Satan.
So, anyway, that was my D&D story time for this week. Hopefully, I have more exciting stories for you in the future.
Anybody who's listening to this, we want to make this a regular thing. If you have a story that you want us to tell, feel free to write something up and send it in, and we'll read it on air.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Mostly because we're just out of ideas of what to talk about on this show. Just kidding.
We'll think of something.
Yeah. We've got plenty of ideas.
Oh yeah, so many.
So many. So many.
So I thought we'd move on to our current addictions.
Yeah. I like to be addicted to things. That sounds good. What are you currently addicted to, Joe?
So no judgment. This is a safe place. This is a safe space. But my current addiction is Queer Eye on Netflix.
Really?
I freaking love it. I love it so much. These 5 gay guys, and they always lead about that because, you know, they're fighting for acceptance and tolerance. But that's not the most important thing about these guys. Each one of these guys has their own area of expertise. There's one of the guys specializes in fashion. Another guy specializes in design. Another guy specializes in cooking, and another one in culture, and then the other one is like the grooming guy. And they pick somebody, usually a straight man, but it could be anybody who is nominated by a friend to help, like it's like an entire life transformation. These 5 guys get together with the person who was nominated by a friend for an entire week, and they focus on improving their life in almost every way, you know, helping these guys become confident. So they help them with their wardrobe, how to dress, how to step up their game, while still kind of sticking to their sense of style. They help them with their grooming. They, you know, give them a haircut or whatever, just help them be their best self. And it's so awesome to see the transformation. I think a lot of men, and especially straight men, it's almost been it's like it's not manly if you use a lot of product in your hair, or if you focus on how good you look, or even you know, you get blamed like, oh, he's being cocky if you try and spend a little bit of extra time making sure that you look nice. And we're taught that if we're good men and we're good providers, that we don't focus on ourselves, that we sacrifice everything for the people in our lives. But really, you can do a better job taking care of your family if you spend just a little bit of time taking care of yourself. And every single episode I've watched, by the end of it, they have just formed such a deep, loving relationship with each of these people that they've helped. and they've really changed their lives. They're so much more confident, and they're able to go on and accomplish really great things. One guy was a stand-up comic who was really struggling in the industry, and they showed his show afterwards and how much more confident he was. Another guy was trying to get back with his ex-wife, and I don't know if he did or not, but he really had a good shot. And there's just all of them are so good and so positive. You just even at the beginning of the episode, you're like, I don't like this guy that they're helping. I'm not sure I'm gonna like this episode. But by the end of it, you're like, I love this person that they're helping. You see like a side of them that a lot of people don't get to see, and it's just so uplifting and so positive that I just have really enjoyed watching it.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, I've never even had an interest to watch it. Not that I just don't watch reality TV, so I tend to not care.
It's so good. Have you ever watched Undercover Boss?
No.
It's another one that I kind of like just because it's really touching. Like these big CEOs get to know like workers at the bottom level and like the struggles that they go through. And it's always really touching. It's kind of like that. But this one it's so transforming and so positive. I really like to consume that kind of media that helps you feel good, feel better and kind of see the world from other people's point of view. So it's been pretty great. You should check it out on Netflix sometime.
I will have to check that out. Yeah. I'd never had any interest in watching it, but it sounds pretty good.
It's so good. What's your current addiction?
This might be several people's current addiction, but I just started watching Luke Cage season 2 just the other night. So I watched just a couple episodes because I didn't have a lot of time, but I quite enjoyed it because it's one of those Marvel TV shows. They're always good. So
yeah, they are.
So I'm excited to see where that goes. I don't really have much to say about it because I only watched a couple, but I'm excited to watch some more, see what happens with Luke Cage and all those other characters. Luke Cage, man. Woo!
Yeah. What did you think about the first season?
I liked it. It's not my favorite of the Marvel TV shows, but it's not my least favorite.
It's not Iron Fist.
Yeah. Oh, I'm curious. Iron Fist apparently is in Luke Cage season 2, at least an episode or two. I'm not sure how many. I'm kind of curious what's going to happen there. I think that could be fun or terrible. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming since he's in it that this takes place after the Defenders.
Probably.
And more than likely after Jessica Jones season 2. I'm assuming that these just happen chronologically.
Yeah, I would assume so. I think it's kind of a cool idea because the comics, there's the whole Heroes for Hire Luke Cage and Iron Fist comic series. So I don't know if that's what happens in this show or not, but I'm curious to see.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I thought the first season was fine. I like the character of Luke Cage.
Yeah.
I thought the first half of season 1 was great. I don't want to give any spoilers, but something big happens about halfway through the season, and I think the second half is just not good.
Yeah, the second half got a bit too corny.
Yeah.
I mean,
the first half was amazing, but you could really, really see some of the lower budgetness of these Netflix shows. Like you can tell, these aren't a blockbuster film because of the second half of a season 1 of Luke Cage. You're just like, wow, they didn't have a lot of money to spend on this, did they? The bad guy's costume looks like I could have made it after a trip to DI.
And for those of you listening who are not from Utah, DI is very similar to like the Salvation Army.
Yeah, the Salvation Army.
just Just so you know, I know like 90% of our audience is from Utah, but for those of you who aren't from Utah,
Hey, we've got a few listeners from across the pond. I don't know what they would have.
yeah, a
Ye
thrift
old
store.
thrift store with an e after the at the end of old.
Right.
I hope that's not offensive. I don't know. I don't know what English people uh, get offended about, but hopefully they're not sensitive about all the extraneous e's in some of their words.
I I have no idea. I
I
like
don't
the
even know if that's a British thing, to be honest.
I I don't know. Don't they say aluminium instead of aluminum? That
I think you're right.
that's all I really know. Which is cool.
Advertisement.
Ooh, so classy.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I were British.
Heritage wise, I'm sure there's a lot of English blood.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a fair amount of my ancestry is British, English, Chinese, something. I don't know.
English Chinese, yeah, that sounds right. Well, it's funny. I mean,
It's
not
all the
this
same.
isn't Chinese necessarily, but isn't like 2/3 of the world related to Genghis Khan?
Uh, yeah, I think so because he had
I
like,
pulled that exact number right out of the air, but
but
it's
it's a
some
lot.
big number.
Yeah, it's
Most
huge.
people, I feel like.
Everyone, just say everyone.
Mhm. Yeah,
Everyone on Earth is related to Genghis Khan.
everyone out there. Yep. And you thought it was Noah,
Yeah,
but no.
I thought they were the same person.
Maybe they were. We don't know. We weren't there.
Maybe you weren't. Um, so, uh, well,
Let's take a break for some advertisements.
yeah, advertisements. Are you handling those or am I?
Oh yeah, no, I can handle that. This week, our podcast is brought to you in part by listeners like Luke. Thanks for your support, Luke.
Yeah, Luke.
We
The,
love you.
Luke, I am not your father. Just wanted that to be clear.
I'm sure he's never heard that.
Probably not.
And for real, our podcast is brought to you in part by audible.com. You can go to nerdsfromnowhere.com/audible and sign up for a free 30-day trial. The 30-day trial includes a free audiobook that you get to keep no matter what.
Ooh, it's a good deal. Do it. Do it right
Indeed,
now.
it is. And even if you don't use our link, I still support Audible. I love them. I listen to audiobooks every day of my life.
I listen to audiobooks often, not every day.
While we were kind of on break here, I did want to mention um, iTunes reviews. It's been a while since I had checked the reviews on iTunes, more out of being busy than anything else. But I noticed a few more pop up, so I just wanted to mention them and maybe read a couple. We had user BPANK 13 leave
Pink.
a 5-star review. It says, "Great chemistry between the guys. To me, that makes a huge difference in quality of the show. I also enjoy how curious they are when discussing each topic, movie, games, etc. Helps me be interested in something I might otherwise not look into." So
Oh, well, that's nice.
we
I'm
really
actually
appreciate that.
not curious about anything. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Hey, we helped him be curious about things, so I appreciate it. And also, we won't read all of these because I know that can get tedious. But I just wanted to mention the other people who have left 5-star reviews. Chuckstable, I like it 25, Surf Guy 180, and Friday is Game Night have all left us 5-star reviews. So
Oh,
right now we're sitting at 100%. All 6 of our reviews have been 5 stars. So I just wanted to say thanks to everybody that's taken the time to do that. If you want to help us out, you can always leave us a rating on your podcast platform of choice. iTunes really helps us get visible and get our show out there. So if you have a chance, check that out. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
And Friday Night is Game Night is actually another podcast that I listen to, and they're actually really interesting. They just they play games and talk about them, and they
Oh, cool.
review um, the term completely left me. The escape rooms.
Oh, escape rooms. That's awesome.
Yeah, so they always do a review of an escape room they went to, and then they talk about a game they played and why they like it or don't like it.
That's
Anyway,
rad. Do you know them from one of our podcast communities?
um, I saw them on one of theirs, and I listened to their podcast, and I left them a review, and they must have traced me back and listened to ours. I'm not
Oh,
sure,
awesome.
but I
Well, thanks,
recognize that
guys,
name.
and that sounds like something I might like to check out.
Yeah, it was really
Do,
good. I
do
really
you,
enjoyed them. They had great
do you happen to
chemistry.
know where people can find that?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I probably just searching like your podcast
I mean,
browser for
Friday is game night.
Fridays.
Should get
Yeah,
there.
Friday's
So
game night.
cool.
Sorry,
Thanks
if
for
I
those
was
guys.
aware of that, I would have looked it up beforehand. Sorry.
That's okay. It just came up.
Yeah, but,
So the
but they were
last
good.
thing I like to take care of before the end of the break is a podcast spotlight. One of the most exciting things that's ever happened to me in the last couple of weeks. For those of you from Utah and who are older, like me and Devin,
Yeah,
um, you might remember Jimmy Chunga,
hey,
who used to
Chunga.
be on 107.5 The End, and then 101.9 The End before they closed their doors. He had a radio show on in the mornings. He actually follows our podcast now.
Yeah, it was really awesome when that happened. I got so excited.
It I fanboyed a little bit. Like this guy who I spent years, I listened to him every single day on the way to high school, and just for years, sometimes I would even skip first period so I could finish listening to their show.
That's awesome. I I'm not even joking when I say this. I never skipped school.
Wait, you were a good kid.
I I was a good kid. I did not have a rebellious bone in my body.
And you grew into a good man.
I don't know about that. Because when I got to college, I went to class like once every 2 weeks. Oh, hey, Luke, being the awesome person he is, just posted the link to that Friday is game night. It's fridayisgamenight.podbean.com.
Thanks, Luke. We appreciate
So,
that.
yeah, we'll just throw that out there. But anyway, back to what
Um,
we were talking
anyway,
about.
so Jimmy Chunga followed our podcast, and so I went and I started reading up on what he had been up to since the end shut down, and he actually started his own podcast company.
Which is awesome.
They have like 20 shows. It's podbash.com, podbash.com. I think they have somewhere 15 or 20 shows, and he and two or three other guys run Radio Ronin. I got to listen to a couple of their episodes today, and it took me back. It was just like listening to Chunga and Mister in the morning, without Mister, but a couple of other guys who are pretty good. So
Yeah. Yeah, I was so excited when they followed us. I loved Chunga. Oh, good old Chunga. But yeah, I started listening to it last night when I was at work, and I was loving it. And then I have a Bluetooth headset that I use while I'm at work because I'm walking around running tests in the lab, and then my headset died. So I listened to like 20 minutes.
dang it. It's good though. I won't take it too much more time. I really enjoyed it. It's really funny, and I'll say they're funny. despite us having completely opposite views on The Last Jedi.
Did they not like it?
They said it's the worst movie one of the worst movies they've ever seen. And in my opinion, and I think it's not I don't hear this opinion out in the world very often, personally, I think is one of the best Star Wars movies out of all of them.
Yeah, I think it was great. It had flaws. There were
Yeah.
some flaws in there, but I think it was great. So,
Well, and I know it's sacrilege to even suggest it, but the original trilogy not without its flaws as well.
it's very true.
No, but I hope lightning doesn't hit me.
No, I get it. I actually had a coworker who had never seen Star Wars. I finally talked her into watching them. She didn't even make it through the original Star Wars movie because she thought it was too boring, which I think is
Well,
sacrilege.
yeah, they're still really good,
But it is
and I
kind
do
of
like them.
slow. I get where she's coming from. If you're not into sci-fi, I can see how you might not want to watch it.
Anyway, I respect people's opinions either way. You don't have to love Star Wars, and you don't have to like The Last Jedi. But Chunga's podcast at podbash.com. It's freaking great. Check it out.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Also, we love you, Chunga. I don't know if you're actually listening to this, but if you are, we love you. We're so glad that you're doing things.
Exactly. I was so glad to run across that and get to spend a portion of my day every day listening to Jimmy Chunga.
For sure. All right. So that ends our sponsor break. Well, no, that was our podcast spotlight. Whatever we're talking about. That ends whatever we were just talking about.
Back to our topics. We're going to talk about old school arcades, like where you used to actually go to a physical location and buy quarters or tokens and put them in the machines and play a game that was designed just to steal your quarters until you were broke.
Yeah.
Ah, the good old
The
days.
good old days.
Being from the middle of nowhere as a young child, Devin, did you get to go to the arcade ever?
No. I think I remember once like we went to every now and then my dad had meetings for work. He was a teacher. He was actually the school counselor, but so for what was that called? UEA weekend. So Utah Educators Association or whatever. He'd have
The
to
deer
go.
hunt.
Yeah, the deer hunt. That's really what it came down to, which I never went hunting. We'd always go to these meetings, and they were usually in like Las Vegas, honestly, or somewhere weird. I think they tried to give teachers some sort of break. It wasn't Vegas, it was Mesquite. That's where it was. They'd always do it in Mesquite, Nevada. So he'd take the family down and we'd go on these mini vacations. We didn't gamble or anything, or my parents didn't gamble. I didn't gamble. I was a kid. But I remember like once or twice we'd go to, they have these like arcades that parents were generally just inclined to drop their kids off in and go gamble, you know. But I remember a couple of times going to an arcade there, but that was probably like twice in my childhood. And then a few times as an adult, I went to like Nickelcade or something. But yeah, no, I
Okay,
didn't.
yeah.
I didn't really go to an arcade when I was a kid. There probably was not one within 70 miles of me. I'm sure. Does that sound accurate?
I don't know. I mean, even by the time I moved to Utah, they weren't really as numerous as they once were.
Right.
I moved in 1998. And so I don't remember, and we definitely didn't have them. I mean, we that was the year that we got a Walmart. We didn't even have that before.
Yeah. I mean, there might have been some up in like the Provo area, but there definitely weren't any anywhere down where I lived.
In Texas, where I spent the first part of my life, it was, there was a lot of options. El Paso is enormous, and I don't know if it was once. I don't think it was as often as once a month, but a couple of times a year, um, my dad would take each of his kids out, just one at a time. So it'd be just me and my dad, and he would let me pick any activity that I wanted, and we would go and do it together. So I would usually pick the arcade. So we would go to Aladdin's Castle in the mall, and we would, spend 20 or $40 on quarters and just go nuts. Um, Usually we would play Area 51, and if I got them really into Area 51, you could usually get them to spend an extra $20 on quarters, so we could actually make it to the end of the game.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
A lot of those. Oh, sorry.
Oh, nothing. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say a lot of those old arcade games were 100% designed to steal your money, basically.
Right.
There was nothing you could do. You would lose a life every so often, and if you wanted to keep going, you had to put more money in. And I mean, it was a solid business plan. It never occurred to me that that was the case until they released the X-Men arcade game um, for the Xbox.
Oh, right.
Have you played that?
I have. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we played it together.
I think so.
But it's completely evident when you play that for a little while. There's no skill involved in that game. Every so often, you just get hurt, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. I mean, I guess maybe if you were insanely good, but even then, I'm pretty sure you just get hurt. There's some things you can't dodge.
Yeah, and so you would have to die, and then you'd have to put more quarters in. And there's no big payoff when you beat the game. It just starts you back at level 1, and there you go.
Right.
So it uh, sullied the memory just a little bit to realize the whole thing was a scam.
But I do love those old arcade games. I do remember playing a couple because and there would have been a few businesses around that had those arcade games in them.
Yeah, so not an
And
entire arcade, but you'd have like a Pac-Man game, or
yeah, and so I do
hopefully like
remember.
Turtles in Time.
Yeah, and I do remember playing that X-Men arcade game a couple of times when I was a kid somewhere. Maybe it was in Mesquite. I don't know, but I loved that game. I loved the X-Men. Oh, so
I
great.
loved I loved the X-Men arcade game. I loved Turtles in Time, and then they
Uh,
had a Gauntlet, which they eventually ported a version over to the 64. It was Gauntlet for the Gauntlet version on the 64, and I freaking loved that game.
I don't think I ever played that one. I loved I loved Turtles. I loved the X-Men one, and I loved the Simpsons one. The Simpsons arcade game.
Oh yeah,
Those were classics.
I think they ported that to the NES. I think I played a version of that on the NES.
Yeah, I think they did too. Oh, and
Oh, so
Rampage.
good.
The Rampage arcade
Yes,
game.
Rampage is another really good one.
Which
I remember in El Paso, people were way into Tekken. Like there was
um
always a line at Pistol Pete's, the pizza place that had an arcade inside, and there would always be a line, like two lines, people waiting for the Tekken game, and you'd wait there until the person in front of your line, lost, and then you'd take their place. And there was always a huge line. It was super competitive down there.
hmm. Yeah, I always liked the games where you could play together. Like get your friends together and play with them. Those always made me really happy. Um,
Luke says Neo Geo Metal Slug. Did you ever play that
Yeah.
one?
I never played it at an arcade, but I have played they've released it on like consoles and stuff, and I've played those games, and they are fun.
Didn't you have a Neo Geo?
The console Neo Geo?
Yeah.
No, I had a Panasonic Real 3DO.
Oh, a 3DO. Right, right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of those really obscure, weird consoles. That thing was the bomb.
We need to find it. Is it still somewhere?
Last I know, my brother had it, so it may have exploded.
We need to figure out how to. We need to get one, even if it's not that one. We need to get one and we need to stream it.
Yeah, I had
Luke, Luke says Golden Axe was my jam. I never played Golden Axe. Did you?
I played like an emulator of it once.
Hmm.
I think I got murdered really, really quickly.
I think it's kind of like that. What's that game they released on the Xbox that was kind of like that? You know what I'm talking about? Was it Volgar? Is that what it's?
Oh yeah, the Volgar the Viking.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, that game is brutal.
yeah,
I
just
love it.
brutally, brutally difficult.
It's so good, and I hate it, and I love it, and I hate it.
Yeah, that was good. I even remember playing an arcade version of Super Mario Brothers from the Nintendo
Really?
in an arcade once. Yeah, I didn't see it in a lot of places, but they had one at Aladdin's Castle for a little while.
Huh. Crazy the games that are arcade games. I didn't know that that was one.
It's funny that people who grew up during that era, like we're the adults now, with families and careers and everything. Because I didn't think that arcades really had a viable business model until they started building arcade bars
Right.
with no rotten kids allowed. And I was like, that makes perfect sense because kids these days just give them an iPad and they're fine. They're not even going to want to play an arcade game. But imagine the beauty and the glory that it would be to walk into an arcade and be able to play a game that doesn't have freaking jam all over the keys and the joystick.
Right. Well, I always want to go to like those Nickelcade arcades because I'm like, yes, I just want to play some old arcade games, and then everything's broken, everything.
Hmm.
I
It's all
hate
broken and it's
Nickelcade.
so nasty because all these kids have been running around and rubbing their noses on it, or I don't know what.
Well, you probably have that problem with the adult ones. They've been rubbing their I don't know what's on it.
Hey, at least, at, at least, I don't know. I feel like it would at least be less frequent.
Probably.
And there are less adults that run around with jam all over their hands or whatever little kids always have on their hands.
Yeah. Oh, Luke just brought up Cuphead for the Xbox. That game is insanely difficult. Not an arcade game, but I don't know if you.
It's very much in the style of an old school, impossibly difficult arcade game.
Yeah, I bought that and I have only played it a couple of times because yeah, I
If you,
used to be good at video games and now I just kind of suck.
I like the games where I can win.
Yeah. Oh man.
If you want, you don't even have to play Cuphead to get the experience. Just look up like Cuphead reactions on YouTube, and you'll just see a whole bunch of people just losing their freaking minds. That's what it's like. Beautiful art style, though.
Yeah, I do love it. But yeah, it's frustrating. I keep playing it and I'm like, why can't I get past like the first person I run into? Why? Ah. Oh, great
Yeah,
game.
it's really good though. Let's see. Well, why don't we move on to our future excitement?
Yeah. That sounds like a good plan.
What are you excited for, Devin?
So I saw this today actually. Uh, so Joe, and for those of you who've listened before to our podcast, you know that I quite enjoy Critical Role, the streaming slash YouTube thing where some voice actors play Dungeons and Dragons. Uh, so they're I think they're going to start. I don't think they've actually done it yet, but they're going to start a Kickstarter to make the little minis that you play Dungeons and Dragons with of all their characters from their campaigns. So you can get like little miniatures of all the different characters. And
Oh, that's rad.
yeah,
Painted or not painted?
I don't think they're painted, but they had like little previews of them, and if you pre-order, you can get like special ones that you can only get for donating to their Kickstarter. I was like, they look really good. So, and it's both from their first campaign and then their second campaign, the one that they're doing right now. They have all of them.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, I don't have any money, so I don't know if I'll actually do it or not. But I'm really tempted to because I do love them, and it would be fun just to own a little grog or something.
You know where people can find that?
I don't. I think through their website, which I think is criticalrole.com. But yeah, the Kickstarter, to the best of my knowledge, hasn't started yet. I think they just kind of announced that they're going to be doing it. So
I'm just googling it real quick. I think I might have found one. Yeah, you can go to it's Steamforged, Critical Role by Steamforged Games. If you search that on Kickstarter, you should be able to pull it up.
oh, good.
It's got 9 days left, actually. They had a $26,563 goal, and they're currently at $385,326.
Oh, dang.
And it's ticking up as I'm sitting here.
I didn't think they'd even started yet.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow, I was completely wrong.
Yeah, they look really cool. They've got the Vox Machina and the Mighty Nine.
Yeah.
Cool. $60 for per group, it looks like.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah. Oh wait. Oh, if $60 gives you both parties.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're into Critical Role, check that out. There's only 9 days left, so by the time this airs,
They'll be gone.
they'll be gone. So never mind. You snooze, you lose.
So, my future excitement will not exist by the time you're listening to this.
Your future excitement is now in the past for everyone except for Luke.
Yeah, way to go, Luke. So, Luke, if you're into Critical Role and stuff, check that out, I guess.
The only reason I don't think he is because he is in school and works full time like I do, and nobody who does both of those things at the same time has 4 hours to spend per episode.
Sure they do.
That's my only hesitation. It's like I don't have 4 hours at a time, and it's really hard. I know you said that they release a podcast version, which I'll probably have to check out because if you try and watch it on YouTube, 3.5 or 4 hours at a time, it's so hard to go resume from where you left off.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Especially when you're switching between devices.
That's where it gets tough.
Anyhow, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, what's your future excitement, Joe, now that mine's in the past?
I'm trying to think of one that will still be in the future by the time this airs.
I thought for sure mine was going to be in the future. I'm so sad now. I really thought that it hadn't started. Oh,
um, I we talked about it last week. My future excitement is the that charity event that CA is putting on. I'm excited to
oh yeah.
help in whatever way we can with that. They're raising money for Children's Hospital, and I'll put the link to that again in the show notes.
Yeah, I guess we can help children, whatever.
I know you hate them, but
Uh,
yeah, I'm excited for that. And she had mentioned a little bit that there might be some stuff that we can do to help out. So
yeah, that would be good.
I'm looking forward to that. And on a more personal note, my Audible membership I actually put on hold for 2 months because I got a backlog of audiobooks, and I just caught up. But it doesn't. I don't get my. It doesn't renew again until July 14th, and so I don't get another credit until then. So I got through my backlog of audiobooks faster than I thought I would, and now I don't have any audiobooks to listen to,
Wow.
which really stinks because I just finished the second book of the Expanse series, and the epilogue is like a huge teaser for the next book,
Yeah, it is.
and I would really like to listen to it.
And I loved the third book. Loved it. So good. So good.
That takes us to the end of the episode, Devin.
Oh, the end of the episode.
Yeah,
We were having so much fun.
we can still have fun.
And so was Luke, I'm sure.
It's been fun. Thanks for watching, Luke, and everybody else. Thanks for listening to the episode. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can reach us on Twitter at Nowhere Nerds or on Facebook at Nerds from Nowhere.
yeah. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Okay.
Well, that's a wrap, I suppose.
Yeah. Don't forget to stop your audio.
I stopped my audio.
Okay, good. We are like, let me see where the stream is at right now.
Like 7 hours. An hour and 20 minutes.
We're still talking, the stream, we're still talking about the
Oh, you mean that.
Audible. Yeah. We're like 2 minutes behind.
Yeah. That explains the chat lag.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too bad that it's not real time because Luke's saying things and I have just no idea what he's referring to anymore.
Yeah. Well, I assume I beat it once though was Cuphead, but I don't know.
It's true.
Your
Glutton for Punishment is Golden Axe, I'm assuming.
That would make sense.
Man, it's like 1,000 degrees in my basement. It's just so everyone wants to know. I'm assuming that all of this is getting captured somehow.
Yeah, I'm recording.
Sweet.
So if we want to post it on YouTube, we can. If we don't, I guess we don't have to. I don't know. But yeah, it's the end, Luke, old buddy. And thank you.
I was typing to him because it's like he won't get what we're saying for another 2 minutes.
That's smart. That's smart.
Cool. Well, we'll put this up somewhere.
Yeah.
Patreon.
We haven't mentioned that we're doing that yet.
Guess what, Luke? This is going up on Patreon.
We're going to start a Patreon. Woo!
And since nobody will probably see this until that happens, is that right?
Probably. No. Spoilers.
Spoilers. I just assumed that they would only see it in our Patreon, unless we're going to put this up on YouTube before we start that. But I figured we would start it.
Yeah. Speaking of our Patreon, have you looked at that? This is directed to Joe, not to you, Luke. No offense. Have you looked at it? I updated it. I added like
Oh,
levels and
I'll
just a rough draft.
I'll
After all
have to
this.
check that out. I'd like to talk to you about it, but maybe we don't want to stream it.
Yeah, that's probably good. This is more of a general context, but I guess we can end our live stream here now
All right. Well, we
ish.
love you, Luke. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we love you. Anybody else that's watching this in the future or listening.
Yeah, we really do. You guys are awesome. And you are awesome, Luke. We appreciate you coming and hanging out with us and giving us stuff to talk about. We really do enjoy that. It's fun. So,
Good night.
have a good night, Luke.